Remember that review of Odin I did a while back? Well, Harmageddon is very similar. A 1980s movie over 2 hours long with painfully slow pacing, characters with no personality, a plot that makes little to no sense, and has so many problems that having a preamble this long means I can't cover every little piece of terribleness, so I have to move swiftly. Harmageddon starts off a bit Macbethy by having a batty old lady dance around proclaiming that a giant floating red skull of doom, Gemma, is coming to destroy everything, instantly removing any chance you had of taking this movie seriously. She does this dance for just long enough for it to stop being amusing and start being boring, and then we cut to the Gypsy Princess of Transylvania on a plane. Why being the Princess of Transylvania is important is unknown. She never does any princessing or saving of her country or becoming a vampire or anything. Maybe they thought they could attach a princess label onto her in place of having an actual personality. Her plane gets hit by an asteroid, but she gets saved by the god of monotone exposition, one of the lesser known deities of Teribad. It explains that Gemma is coming to destroy the world and she must stop it because she's now a psychic warrior princess of Transylvania. She's introduced to some cyborg dude who lost his love to Gemma 100 million billion years ago and has somehow lost his personality during his hibernation. Why he losing his love is relevant, again I do not know, but let's do the total opposite to what the creators of Harmageddon did and move swiftly on with the plot. Meet Joe. He will be our main character for the rest of this journey. He's busy wandering around town being an angsty teenager. Not sure why he's angsty, I suppose all teenagers are like that, so whatever. Apparently he wants to bang his sister too, at least according to his crush Junko. Characters seem to have that problem a lot though, they'll just randomly spout lines about the plot with no apparent reason or explanation why it was relevant at this point. They also have that awful habit of explaining exactly what's happening on screen at the time too, just in case we got bored and started staring at a mosquito buzzing around our rooms and needed someone to fill us in on details while we weren't watching. I was expecting at least some decent animation from this. It's directed by Rintaro, who has a reputation for at least supplying good looking stuff. The animation quality is alright, I guess, for something made 30 years ago, but the art style just looks kinda ugly. At least Odin had a spectacular set piece to look at while nothing was happening. So, turns out Joe is a psychic warrior too. He originally likes his newfound psychic powers, so decides to mess with his friend by making him float around in the air. However, Joe's friend isn't too pleased with this, so Joe goes off and sulks in his home with his Bijin One-sama. The psychic warrior gypsy vampire princess of Transylvania needs to get Joe on her side though, so she does this by possessing his mind and making his sister suddenly warp into her. Absolutely fucking brilliant idea. There's no way Joe would suddenly freak out at that. Nope. Foolproof plan if there ever was one. I honestly thought for large portions of this movie that his sister was a villain. There was a moment later on in the movie, yeah, I'm skipping a few pages now, where his crush Junko is taken over by some cat demon thing, so Joe uses the power of the force to crush her under a grand piano. The question as to whether Junko actually dies here or not is a bit vague, but when he goes to his sister and explains his dilemma, she says that clearly the demon was just pretending to be Junko and that she's probably alive and well elsewhere. But we never see Junko again. For all we know, she really was crushed under a grand piano and his sister was just leading him on. Harmageddon keeps abandoning plot points like this all throughout the movie, like a child who tells you a thrilling story before getting sidetracked when they found out they could shove marbles up their nose. The second half of the movie is worse, and by worse I mean better, and by better I mean it gets even stupider, so at least things are now funny rather than just being boring. Mainly this is because hilarious racial stereotypes appear. We jump to New York where a bunch of black people are stealing jewellery and wondering if they could give this to their local prostitute. But then the police show up and shoot everyone. One kid called Sonny escapes because he flies around on rollerblades and can move through walls. This is what happens in America. Police shoot black kids on rollerblades who rob jewellery stores. I guess what this movie was going for was some kind of message about throwing aside your prejudices so we can work together to save the earth from the giant floating red skull in the sky. There's a line where the cyborg dude asks why the psychic warrior gypsy vampire princess of Transylvania didn't help Sonny when she needed his budding psychic powers, asking, is it cause he's black? But with the racial stereotyping so pronounced, it comes off as looking completely ridiculous, culminating in this priceless scene where all the psychic warriors from around the world join together as a super Sentai racial stereotype brigade. By this stage, Harmageddon has long since abandoned its painfully slow pacing to just making shit up as it goes along. Joe finds his long lost friend who's working for a guy with an impossibly big chin, but then turns out he's a demon now. But then Joe suddenly decides to save Bambi's mum, and then all the animals follow him because he's going to save the world. And then 5 minutes later they all forget about Bambi, so why they even brought it up is beyond me. As I said, any attempts at making sense have long since been thrown into the fire along with Bambi, and I'm left a gibbering mess. Somewhere at the end they meet the final boss, who isn't Gemma and is actually the guy with the impossibly big chin, but is actually Gemma, but not. He's a demon or something. Christ, I don't fucking know. He turns into a big flaming dragon and actually, this part looks incredibly cool. Apparently this is where Rintaro's great animation was hiding. It almost made the entire rest of the movie worth sitting through to reach this. Of course it fucking wasn't. What's going on? Who are these people? Why have none of them got any personality? What happened to Junko? Is this dragon Gemma? What happened to Gemma? How is this even relevant? But look, it's okay. Everyone is joined together hand in hand to save the world, even though it was destroyed by Gemma, so they're going to have to repopulate the earth with only 2 women and one of them is a kid.